Hi, I'm Gareth Green, and in this video we're going to do one very practical task. It's trying to discern whether we can hear the difference between an ordinary dominant chord and a dominant seventh chord. Why does this matter? Well, some people around the world taking music exams find they have to do this as part of a music exam. Some people might have to do it in other contexts as well. But anyway, for any musician, it's good to be able to kind of hear the difference. Am I hearing a straight dominant chord or am I hearing a dominant seventh chord? So let's just think about this for a moment. If I'm in the key of C major, the dominant is the fifth degree of the scale, so C, D, E, F, G is the fifth degree. The dominant chord then is G, B, D. So if I'm just hearing a straight dominant chord, that's what it sounds like. Now, it might be spaced in a number of different ways. I might have 3 parts in my chord, or 4 parts, or 5 parts or something, but it could sound like this, or this, or this, or this. They're all different presentations of the dominant chord. However, a dominant chord sometimes has a seventh attached to it. So the chord has a root, a third, a fifth, and a seventh. So when I hear this dominant chord, do I just hear a straight dominant chord or do I hear a dominant seventh? Well, let me play you some dominant sevenths. Might sound like this. 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 Lots of different presentations of it. But in that case, I'm hearing this seventh. So here's the aural thing that we're going to task ourselves with. Do I just hear a dominant chord? So I'm just hearing a root, a third, and a fifth. Or am I hearing a root, a third, and a fifth, and a seventh as well? Now the trick is that if I play an ordinary dominant chord, you might think root, third, fifth, seventh. Oh yeah, I've heard a seventh because it fits the chord. But actually, I'm not playing a seventh. I'm just playing an ordinary dominant chord. So you've got to sort of use your ear to think, there's an ordinary dominant chord. Here's a dominant seventh. There's a seventh in that dominant seventh. In the previous chord, there's no seventh in that chord. It's just a root, a third, and a fifth. So your ear has to kind of tune into, have we heard a dominant chord with or without a seventh? So here's today's little quiz. I'm going to play some dominant chords. Some of them are going to be dominant chords. Some of them are going to be dominant sevenths. Tell me what you think. And we'll just have a kind of quick fire quiz on this and see how you go on. So we're in the key of C major. And here's the fifth degree of the scale. Here's the dominant chord. Here's the dominant seventh chord. Listen to the chords. Straightforward dominant, straightforward 5, or a dominant seventh, a 5/7. What do you think? That's a straightforward 5. What about this one? That's a dominant seventh. Can you hear the seventh? Okay, so there's a dominant seventh. Once you've heard it, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? But it's kind of just been, have I heard that seventh? Have I not heard that seventh? What about this one? That's a dominant seventh. It's actually a dominant seventh in its last inversion. I've got the seventh in the bass, which somehow kind of makes that even clearer. So that's a dominant seventh. Okay, what about this one? That's a dominant seventh. What about this one? That's another dominant seventh. I've got I've got roots, a third, a fifth, and a seventh in there. What about this one? That's a straightforward dominant chord. What about this one? That's another straightforward dominant chord. Okay, what about this one? Hopefully you can hear there's quite a strong presence of the 7th in that chord. So that's a dominant 7th chord. What about this one? That's just a dominant chord. It's in second inversion, but it's just a dominant chord. Okay, what about this one? That's got a 7th in it, so it's a dominant 7th. And what about this one? That's an ordinary dominant chord. So it can be quite tricky, this, to think, have I heard a 7th or am I inventing a 7th that happens to fit with a dominant chord? But it's quite useful to just tune your ear into what's a dominant chord, what's a dominant 7th chord. And you can repeat this as many times as you want to, just to try and get your ear more efficiently tuned into what's an ordinary dominant chord, what's a dominant 7th chord. Well, if you've found this video useful, let me invite you to the Music Matters website, www.mmcourses.co.uk. And if it's this kind of aural work that you're trying to develop your skills in, click on courses and then search out all of our aural courses. We've got lots of aural courses. There are things called aural tests, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, that are progressive aural tests which relate to ABRSM exams, International Exam Board, and they give you lots of techniques for how to tackle the various tests. Then lots of practice in actually kind of applying that knowledge to seeing if you can get your success rate higher with these aural tests. But it's not about tests per se, it's about aural development. Or if you're looking for something slightly different, we've also got an aural dictation course. This is when you learn to hear rhythms, melodies, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, and you can hear them and then write them down, which is great for being able to do a number of things. Like if you're a composer, you're hearing things in your head, how do I write it down? The aural dictation will help you to do that. If you want to improve your sight reading and you're just looking at a page of music, what does it sound like? If you can do aural dictation, you'll get to the point where you can look at a page of music and think, I know exactly what that sounds like. So all these aural resources are available to you. So have a look at them, have a look at everything else on offer. www.mmcourses.co.uk.